connected generation in the history of mankind has its upsides, but it also comes with real invisible problems. And we've grown up aspiring to be our idols. And that's dangerous. I mean, aspiring to achieve great things is fine, but aspiring to be our idols is dangerous. It's dangerous to want to be someone you're not. It's also not possible, but it's dangerous. And social media has glamorized the lives of a few, and we get to see their nice
streets up. Yeah, yeah. Okay, wake the streets up. Okay, come on. Okay, wake the streets up. Yeah, yeah. Come on, wake the streets up. Yeah, yeah. Okay. Yo, where the life at? I'm needing more, cause I've never been in a town like this, is such a bore.
Being the most connected generation in the history of mankind has its upsides, but it also comes with real invisible problems. And we've grown up aspiring to be our idols. And that's dangerous. I mean, aspiring to achieve great things is fine, but aspiring to be our idols is dangerous. It's dangerous to want to be someone you're not. It's also not possible, but it's dangerous. And social media has glamorized the lives of a few, and we get to see their nice cars and their holidays and their wonderful lifestyle. And we want that, but we don't see the years and years of hustle, the pain, the sacrifice, the natural talent they had, the innate passion for their craft, the incredible details Steve Jobs saw the world in, or the unbelievable hardship that Richard Branson went through to get there. We don't see that. We just see the destination and we want that. But most of us don't have and aren't willing to give what it takes to fulfill that journey, because it's not our journey, it's theirs. You're not passionate about typography or art or design, but you want to be Steve Jobs. You're not Steve Jobs, you're you. We are the generation that has confused admiration with aspiration, and we'll never find our own happiness until we accept that we can't have anyone else's life but our own. And if we realize this and focus on our own, then our life will be more than enough. You know, young men want to be Mark Zuckerberg because they admire him. But the crazy irony is we admire him because his life was unlike others. He didn't try to be like others. So if you want to be Mark Zuckerberg, it's time to stop trying to be Mark Zuckerberg, because you'll never achieve your personal greatness. Our idols did not follow in the footsteps of their heroes. There was no Bill Gates for Bill Gates to emulate. He had to carve out his own path to find his own greatness. Each of our idols have uniqueness as their power. They have the conviction to disagree, the confidence to persevere, and the braveness to go against the status quo instead of embracing it. You know, we celebrate their individuality and their lack of conformity, and the audacity of their strong beliefs that black was equal to white, or their vision for a pocket computer, or a more connected world, or a driverless car, or a personal spaceship that could go to Mars. These ideas could only come from people who did not follow in the footsteps of others. So my advice to my generation is, don't aspire to be your hero. Stop trying to mimic what you see them doing. Strive to be yourself. Visionaries are not to be imitated, they are to be admired. Trying to be someone else is a surefire way of becoming nobody at all. The only great person you can become is the greatest version of yourself, because all the other great people are already taken. And the funny thing is, once you become the greatest version of yourself, people will see your life and they'll make the mistake of trying to be you too.
There's a recent phenomenon that's not being talked enough about in our culture, and specifically in our world, which is what failure is doing in our space. And, we're sweeping under the rug a couple of the suicides in our space. We're sweeping under the rug the heavy depression and alcohol use. We're sweeping things under the rug. We want to show all the hoopla. I hate what's going on Instagram right now. Everybody living their fake life, putting up pictures of like baby giraffes and like hot chicks and $50,000 cash on a bed and a boat and painting a lifestyle that is not realistic. I want to have this conversation because there is a level of talent here, and what we need to all be doing is figuring out what we're best at and going all in on that.
Defining your goals, defining what the life you're trying to build is, and having a real model for what you're doing. And for me, I try to be very clear about what I'm trying to accomplish to myself. If you're doing this thing because it means something to you and you know exactly what success looks like for you, it's nice because then you're not as distracted by the fact that so-and-so is posting photos of them surrounded by $100 bills on Instagram or on a yacht in Ibiza or whatever. You want to make sure that you're not comparing yourself to other people. You want to compare yourself against the progress you've made because, look, some people are freaks. You know what I mean? Some people are just way better than you, and they're always going to be better than you, and they're not going to have to work as hard as you. So it's if you're comparing yourself to them or just mimicking them, that's not the right approach.
Everyone has their demons. It doesn't matter if they're the richest person or the most successful, the most good looking. There's some battle I feel like we're always facing. It's hard to just be I've got it all figured out in all areas of my life.
The people who you feel like have it most figured out are probably struggling the deepest. Thou knowest the man, thou knowest not his wrestling. Because you don't know what each person is wrestling with inside. You don't know if that beautiful celebrity is wrestling with an eating disorder. You don't know if that guy who seems like he has a happy family is miserable and cheats on his wife. You don't know if that person who sold millions of albums feels like a failure because their parents never told them they loved them. You don't know what people are struggling with, and it's you can't compare yourself to them because you don't know what it costs them. The world is indifferent to you and I, right? The world is not only indifferent to our personal goals, the world doesn't even care about the human race, right? We could all be wiped out by a volcano tomorrow, right? So it's that we are a very small piece of a complex universe, and the result is that things don't go the way we want them to go. So I think those are the external obstacles. Then we put on top of that struggles with addiction or struggles with self-worth or struggles with other people. We add to that things that make an extraordinarily difficult thing even more difficult.
Yeah.
And we don't even know it.
Good morning, champion. Good morning. Are you with me this morning? Hey, listen, we tried this earlier at 7 a.m., but it didn't work. So now, hopefully, we are plugged in. Let me make sure that we are. We are not. All right. Can you hear me better now? Yeah. Please share in the comments if you can hear me better. We were not plugged in earlier and we almost made the same mistake again, but I believe we are plugged in right now. How is the audio? Please give me yes. Please give me yes in the comments if you're watching this. Hey, so this is a very dear topic to me. As you saw in the intro, me juggling with technical difficulties here. We're going to talk about comparing this morning. Do you compare yourself with other people? Do you do that all the time? I think we are all faulty of that to a certain extent. Everybody had compared themselves to others at some point of their life. It's just the people who really get stuck in that comparison are struggling the most. The number one reason for modern self-sabotage is fear of other people's opinion, and most importantly, comparing to others. So as we suggested from the beginning of this stream with the video, stop comparing yourself to other people. Stop doing it. Declare today, decide today that you will stop comparing yourself to other people. You will commit today that you will stop comparing yourself to other people, because you are making yourself dissatisfied. And if you don't like being dissatisfied, today is the day when you can decide to stop being dissatisfied and start being satisfied. Who's in here? Who's in here? Give me some love. Okay, when you start comparing, you subconsciously start to believe that people are better than you and you are inferior to them. So, what happens most of the time is you're depriving yourself of all the great things that you possess, all the God given talents that you have. You have a genius, and you're cursing yourself to one thing that you don't have. How is that logical? You could be the best in the world at something and sitting there feeling sorry for yourself, cursing yourself because you're not good at something that is the gift for somebody else. So comparisons take your happiness away and leave you with dissatisfaction. Most importantly, though, it's not just the temporary dissatisfaction, it's the low self esteem that we're struggling with, the low self esteem that reflects on our personal relationships, the low self esteem that reflects on our business, in our performance at work, in our performance everywhere. It's just a low self esteem. And what do we need to do to control that? You know, one of the things that I heard from hikers, there's one thing about hikers that they like to say: hike your own hike. I don't know if you guys like hiking, if you like going to the mountain, but hikers, old school hikers, they use that saying: hike your own hike. And they all come prepared because at the end of the day, what they believe in, we all gonna arrive. It's just there's a different path for everyone. You can take the tough road or you can take the King's Road. It's up to you, but hike your own height. Be a trailblazer, right? They use this to focus on their path instead of looking at others' trails. You know, we follow trails. Like in the wintertime, when we drive on the highway, we try to follow trails. It's just for some reason, we feel that it's safer when we're comparing ourselves to others, when we follow others. Others might be able to reach the peak before you on whatever you're comparing yourself to them. But in the end, you will also reach the peak. And that's why you got to celebrate when others are reaching the peak. You got to celebrate others' wins because it makes it possible for you too. And you will get it. It's just not right now. As long as you keep going, as long as you keep going on your own path, hike your own hike, you will get the same or better results, but you have a different path. So it's just about the difference in timing. That's what people need to understand. Sometimes it's all about timing. What looks like overnight success to most people is actually a lot of struggle, a lot of adversity, a lot of things that have to align at certain time so it works. So relax and be patient. Continue to work towards your goals, but realize that this is all about timing. In sales, B2C versus B2B, difference is timing. I train people on how to sell to big executives for big companies, and it's not as easy as selling to consumers. You really have to spend about 4 hours with each executive in order to earn their trust. And sometimes it takes 3 years to spend 4 hours with somebody. Not every phone call, not every pitch, not every presentation builds trust. Sometimes you have to really give the time into becoming um, trustworthy with a business client. So, because some people are doing it faster and easier, is because of their experience, because of their track record. So, don't compare your chapter 1 to someone else's chapter 20. This is so illogical. You just started. So it's unfortunate that results don't come in as fast as they do for other people, but how long have they been working towards those, right? We all should learn to embrace the journey. not only the results. Because a lot of the times when we don't embrace the journey, when we arrive at the point of getting the result, especially when we were comparing ourselves to other people, we can't really enjoy the win. So, starting today, you're the beginning of something great. You're going to decide today that you're not going to compare yourself to other people anymore. But you will compare yourself, to the old version of yourself. That's when comparing actually works. Because you're going to commit to growth, you're going to compare yourself to the old version, to the person you just killed today. So don't let someone else's success discourage you. Let that success motivate you, that it's possible for you as well. And realize that you have a different path. It could be a shortcut, it could take a little bit longer, but there is a reason for it. Mostly we compare ourselves with what we see, and social media, as we saw in that previous video, is a stage to flaunt or so-called, luxuries. Yeah, you see all the Ferraris. You see, it was interesting because in the beginning of COVID, all those people disappeared, and then they came back after government offered some loans. So we compare a situation with others, and we compare their positive sides without knowing the hardship behind it. You see their wins, but you don't know what they're going through in their personal life, because no one, ladies and gentlemen, no one shares their failures. Trust me, I talk to a lot of successful people on a daily basis, and they go through the same struggle as you. They have anxieties, they have depression, they have problems with their kids, they have problems with their parents, they have problems with health, they have problems with self-sabotage all the time. We all have problems. It's just some of us are not vulnerable, or not vulnerable enough to share that with you. So don't let the internet rush you towards success because somebody else is already winning. No one shares the shitstorms. No one. Maybe some people do. But listen, we're making the wrong comparisons most of the time. What are we comparing? We compare the skills in which we're not good at comparing to the skills somebody is great at. How is that logical? Right? Right. If we compare our worst skill set to the best skill set for no one, sometimes that could create perception that we're not good at anything, because we have such a huge and such a high standard for ourselves, because we're average at some skill or less than average at some skill that someone else is excelling at. We feel that we're no good at anything. And trust me, I've been there. That's why I want to really battle this, and I want to help you battle it as well, and inspire you to decide today that you're going to stop comparing to others, and we'll be in this journey together, because I'm going to decide today with you. We're going to make this a pact. So in reality, we may have some skills which we excel at, and if we get too involved in the race to become better than them, then we'll overlook our skills. What do I mean by that is, I have this exercise with my students and members of the leadership team. So when we talk about self-sabotage, one of the first things I do is I ask the class to write down 5 to 10 things that they feel they're better than the average human being. 5 to 10 skills that they feel they have developed to the level of better than average. And some people would write down 2-3 skills, some people would write 5, some people would write 10. After that, I ask them to write down 5 to 10 things that they feel are stopping them from being successful. And some people again would write down 2-3 things, 5, sometimes 10. But the purpose of the exercise is for the whole class to see that the conditions that we put ourselves, the walls that we build ourselves, the conditions that supposedly are stopping us from success are something that everyone in the room is dealing with on daily basis. Everyone had either struggled with this in the past or struggled with this right now or will be struggling in the future. So people can easily relate to the conditions. What they couldn't relate is the skill set. So what we do is we focus on our weaknesses. We struggle with the fact that we're not competitive enough in our weaknesses, and we completely abandon our skills. We completely abandon our genius, our God given talent. So when I go back to the first list and I ask my students, how much time every single day do you invest in those skills? And some of them realize that they haven't invested mastering their craft, mastering their genius in days, weeks, years. So hard work will always be talent, especially when you don't invest in your talent. Now, if you invest in your talent, it becomes Michael Jordan's story and Lionel Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo. But if you don't invest in your talent, it becomes a sad story of comparing. What you need to do is explore yourself and just find out what skills you're good at, what skills can you become the best at, and really spend the majority of the time feeding that skill. Listen, a fish cannot fly and a bird cannot swim, but they're the best at their skill and they don't try to get in their arena. Trust me, they stay away from their worlds. But in their own worlds, they're thriving. Trust me. If you are able to determine what makes you unique, what makes you different, what gives you unfair advantage in life. And one of the best ways to do it is to write down what are you willing to sacrifice for success. For example, when I like to say I'm in the zone, when I'm teaching, when I'm in a classroom, that's how I hit the nerve. That's how I realize what my purpose in life is. When I'm in a classroom, when I teach people who want to learn, when I have good audience of people who are intelligent and they want to level up, I could talk, I could discuss topics, I could solve problems for 12, 15, 16, 18 hours with no food, no water, nothing. If I'm selling something, like selling gives me the ether, gives me the extra energy. If I'm selling something, I'm so passionate, I'm so involved, I could do it for 18, 19 hours nonstop. So this is something that I'm passionate about. This is something that I cannot stop getting enough information. And this is something that I feel it's my unfair advantage. And it's the purpose for my life. So I'm not going to compare myself to someone who is good at soccer, for example, because that's my passion too. I play soccer, and there are some people that are way better than me. They're way better than me. They put in a lot more time than me. They played more hours. And sometimes when I'm not doing so well on the soccer field, I'm comparing myself to others, and it puts me down. But what about the rest of my gifts? What about my unique genius that none of the soccer players possess? So this is the name of the game. To figure out what makes you unique, what is your true gift, and really double down on that, invest in that, and have a little bit lower expectations for the things you're not good at. Obviously, it's good to spend time to become better than average, but don't beat yourself down. Don't put yourself down because you don't possess the same skills and you don't have the same gifts as other people. You have your own gift. Trust me, there is no human being on planet Earth that doesn't possess a genius. There is no human being on planet Earth that doesn't have something that was naturally given to them, that helps them effortlessly be better than the average human being. So, discovering the motivation and gaining from others is very insightful. Now, you could always take suggestions from experienced people, not to compare with them, but to realize what make yourself better, how to make yourself better, right? So don't compare yourself to those who are better than you. Take some suggestions, see if you can apply the same principles, see if you can apply the same discipline, and see if you're going to get the same results. And chances are you may not get the same results, but you might be satisfied with the results you get if you follow the pattern of their success. So there's a slight difference between observing, between learning and comparing. You got to have lower expectations, and sometimes you might exceed their expectations. Listen, if you're comparing yourself to a peer, to a competition, to a direct competition, and you obviously supposed to have the same skill set, then in order for you to beat that person, in order for you to be better, you have to have a unique and some type of creative approach that the other person couldn't have. And that comes from within. That doesn't come from anybody else. That doesn't come from the same person you're trying to compete with, right? So you can, if you're way, way behind, you can take some of the success patterns and apply them into your own activities. But if you're not, then just try to become average, lower your expectations, right? Successful people always compete with their own goals, while failure competes with others' success. Think about it. Every time when you think you are failure, the only thing you're doing is you're competing with other people who have put in more time, had better opportunities, better circumstances, and they were able to win. So you're comparing your failure to other people's success. You never win. Not like that, right? So always compete with your own goals. Compete with yourself. There are three types of people, and I like to interview. When I interview people, I like to ask that question as one of my first questions. People who want to work in Velco Academy. I ask them, are you do my best, never give up, or whatever it takes type of person? And the way I understand those three, when they say do my best, I'm out. I can't hire them. They can't be working with me because they don't know what their true potential is. They're going to be using excuses. They're going to be using a lot of distractions. They wouldn't ever know what their potential is. The next one is whatever it takes. That's when people are very driven, when they're determined for success. And sometimes integrity and humility is not a priority for those people. So I lead with my heart. I know that in business it's stupid and you're supposed to lead with your brain, but I do lead with my heart. We'll see where it takes me. So I don't necessarily hate or dislike whatever it takes people. I value and honor a lot of those. And I used to be one of those. But to me, the values are not aligned 100% with whatever it takes people. And whatever it takes people sometimes reach the finish line and they're not satisfied. They lack fulfillment. So I'm a big fan of never give up. Never give up. Never give up. Example for never give up is many scientists or the life of Gandhi, who never gave up. So remember this. There is no comparison between the sun and the moon. They shine when it's their time. With this, I'm going to leave you and I'm going to wish you to make it a great day. Stop comparing yourself to others and be the best version of yourself. I'll catch you tomorrow at 7 a.m. Central Standard Time. Professional problem solver checking out. Make it a great one.